Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're tackling a challenge I think every project manager faces.
Yeah.
Bringing all the pieces of a project plan together,
Yeah.
seamlessly. It's like assembling a puzzle
Right.
where the pieces are constantly
Yeah.
changing shape.
Absolutely. And our guidebook for this deep dive is PR09, Integrate Project Planning Activities.
Oh,
We'll uncover why this integration is crucial, not just for, ticking boxes, but for setting your project up for real-world success.
So no more duct tape and hope solutions.
Exactly.
I like it. The document starts with consolidation.
Uh-huh.
Help me unpack that. It sounds a bit like something you do with spreadsheets, not entire projects.
Right. Think of it less about spreadsheets and more about laying a strong foundation.
Okay.
Consolidation is about aligning your project's scope, schedule, and resources right from the get-go.
Okay.
It's about making sure that
Yeah.
your budget aligns with your timeline
Mm-hmm.
and both support the project's goals.
Right.
When you do this up front, you're minimizing the risk of costly rework and delays
Right.
and those dreaded "how did we miss that" moments down the line.
Oh, absolutely. So it's like ensuring that all the gears in a machine are meshing smoothly before you hit the go button
Yes,
instead of ending up with a jam later.
precisely. The document gives an example using a construction project.
Yeah.
Imagine a building declared finished, but nobody scheduled the necessary inspections.
Oh,
That's a lack of consolidation in action, and it could have, massive consequences.
that brings up a memory of a software project I worked on. We were so focused on meeting the launch date that we didn't properly integrate testing into the schedule.
Oh, no.
We ended up with a mad scramble to fix bugs at the 11th hour. It was not pretty.
A classic example of why consolidation matters. Now, once you have that solid foundation, it's time to put on our detective hats and delve into the fascinating world of dependencies.
Dependencies. It does have a bit of a Sherlock Holmes ring to it, doesn't it?
Indeed. Think of it like this. Every task in your project is a domino.
Okay.
You finish one task and it triggers the next and so on.
Mm.
Dependency analysis is about understanding that domino effect.
Right.
If you ignore these connections, you risk delays, budget overruns, and a whole lot of frustration for everyone involved.
So if one domino falls late, the whole project timeline could be thrown off.
Exactly. The document breaks down a few key dependency types.
Okay.
You have your finish to start, like you can't start decorating a cake before it's baked.
Right.
Then there's start to start, where tasks can begin simultaneously,
Okay.
like ordering materials and hiring contractors for a renovation project.
Mm.
Finally, you have finish to finish, where tasks need to wrap up together,
Okay.
like final testing of a software update, coinciding with the user manual being finalized.
So it's all about mapping out those domino chains.
Yes.
Understanding those crucial links to prevent a project pileup. And the document mentions critical path analysis.
Yes.
What is that exactly?
That's our detective's magnifying glass.
Okay.
Critical path analysis helps pinpoint the sequence of tasks that absolutely cannot slip. If you want to stay on schedule, it's about identifying the longest chain of dependent tasks in your project, because any delay in that chain will directly impact your overall timeline.
So it's about finding that one line of dominoes where if one falls late, the entire project timeline is at risk.
You got it. The source uses a software development example. Imagine the UI design, perhaps being handled by another team, is delayed.
Okay.
That delay can throw a wrench into the entire development timeline because those tasks are directly dependent on the UI being finalized.
It makes you realize how interconnected everything in a project truly is.
Absolutely. And this is where things can get even more interesting as we start to uncover potential gaps in our meticulously crafted plans.
Gaps, you say? That doesn't sound good. Like finding out you forgot snacks halfway through a road trip.
Well, they can certainly derail your project just as quickly. Gaps are those areas where maybe crucial elements were overlooked during planning, and they can pop up in the most unexpected places. It might be a communication breakdown where key stakeholders aren't being informed of potential risks, or a missing piece in your resource allocation that could lead to, bottlenecks down the line.
So it's not just about what's in the plan, but also what might have fallen through the cracks.
Precisely. It's about having a system in place to identify those cracks early. The source emphasizes the importance of continued business value. It's not enough to just stick to the initial plan. You need to regularly step back and ask, does this project still make sense given our current goals and priorities?
So it's like reassessing your route if there's a sudden detour or traffic jam. You might find a faster way to your destination.
Exactly. Imagine you're working on a software project, and a stakeholder requests a small new feature. Seems simple enough, right? But what if that feature requires significant development time, impacts other features, and ultimately doesn't significantly contribute to the overall value proposition of the software?
That's when a seemingly small gap can turn into a major project roadblock.
And that's why data analysis plays such a vital role in successful project integration. Think of data as your project's reality check, a way to move beyond gut feeling and make objective, informed decisions based on evidence.
Data, the project manager's best friend. But with so much data flying around, where do we even begin? What kind of information should we be looking at?
That's the million-dollar question. It starts with your initial estimates. Are your cost and time projections realistic, or are they based on wishful thinking? Then consider your resource allocation. Do you have the right people with the right skills, doing the right tasks at the right time? Are you spreading your resources too thin, or are you potentially creating bottlenecks?
It's like making sure you have enough ingredients and cooks in the kitchen before you promise everyone a 5-course meal.
Exactly. And let's not forget about risk data. What's the likelihood of those dominoes actually falling, and what's the potential impact if they do? You need to be analyzing these factors, constantly adjusting your approach as needed.
So it's all about staying vigilant, monitoring the data, and course correcting as you go.
Exactly. And just like a seasoned captain uses charts and navigational tools, we have specific techniques to help us analyze project data effectively. One of the most powerful tools at our disposal is Earned Value Management, or EVM.
EVM. That sounds serious. What's the lowdown on this project management powerhouse?
Think of EVM as your project's GPS. It helps you track your progress against the plan, measuring the work completed against the budget and timeline. It allows you to answer those critical questions. Are we on schedule? Are we within budget? And are we delivering on the agreed-upon scope?
So it's like a real-time dashboard showing you exactly where you are on your project journey.
Precisely. It gives you the insight to identify potential problems early on. For example, let's say you're running a marketing campaign and using EVM to track your progress. You might discover that you're overspending on certain activities, but not seeing the expected return on investment. With EVM, you have that data at your fingertips and can make necessary adjustments to get back on track.
It's incredibly valuable. But even with all this data analysis, it seems like there's still room for things to go wrong. How can we ensure we're paying attention to the right things at the right time, especially when unexpected challenges arise?
That's where identifying and prioritizing critical information becomes paramount. Think of it as monitoring your project's vital signs. You want to keep a close eye on the metrics that truly matter so you can catch problems early on.
So it's like a doctor monitoring a patient's heart rate and blood pressure, but instead of physical health, we're talking about the project's health.
You've got it. And just like a doctor tailors their approach to each patient, what information is critical depends entirely on your specific project. But the source outlines 3 key areas to consider. First, what are your stakeholders most concerned about? The sponsor might be laser-focused on the budget, while the team needs regular updates on any risks that could derail their work.
Different stakeholders, different priorities. Makes sense. What else should we keep in mind?
Think about the critical decision points in your project. Let's say you're deciding whether to accept a significant change request. You'd better have solid data about its potential impact on the schedule, budget, and resources before giving the green light.
Right, because that one decision could have significant domino effects down the line. We wouldn't want to set off a chain reaction we hadn't prepared for. What's the final area we need to consider?
It all comes back to risk management. You need to constantly evaluate if the critical risks you initially identified are still relevant, and if your mitigation strategies are still effective. Are there new risks on the horizon? Are there any blind spots in your plan? Knowing this kind of information in advance can be the difference between a minor hiccup and a project-ending crisis.
It's about staying one step ahead of those potential domino chain reactions.
Exactly. The source gives a great example of a product launch. Let's say your supplier suddenly throws a wrench in the works, with a major delay.
Okay.
If you've identified that supplier information as critical, you've got time to find a plan B, maybe sourcing from a different supplier or adjusting your launch date.
Yeah.
But if you're blindsided by that information at the last minute, well,
Yeah.
that's when the panic sets in.
Nobody makes good decisions in panic mode. It sounds like identifying critical information is about knowing which pulse points to monitor so you can spot trouble before it becomes a crisis.
Exactly. And once you know what information is truly critical, it's all about getting that information into the right hands at the right time. We're talking dashboards, automated alerts, regular reports, whatever it takes to keep everyone informed and equipped to make the best possible decisions.
It strikes me that this entire process of project plan integration, from consolidation to dependency analysis to data analysis and identifying critical information, it's all connected. It's like weaving together different threads to create a strong and resilient tapestry.
That's a great analogy. It's not about creating a rigid, inflexible plan, but rather a dynamic system that can adapt to change while still keeping the project on course.
This deep dive has been eye-opening. We've gone beyond just the mechanics of project planning and really explored the strategic thinking that underpins success.
Absolutely. And as you move forward in your own project planning, I'd leave you with this thought. Every project is unique. So what one critical piece of information will you prioritize to ensure your project's success? What's the one metric, the one data point that will give you the most valuable insight and help you navigate the inevitable complexities of bringing your project to life?
That's a powerful question. It's a reminder that while frameworks and methodologies are valuable, true project success relies on understanding the nuances of each project and adapting our approach accordingly.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, there you have it, listeners. Another deep dive completed, and I hope you're leaving armed with valuable insights to tackle your next project with confidence. Remember, integrating your project plan isn't about adding complexity. It's about creating clarity, fostering collaboration, and ultimately achieving project success. Until next time, happy planning.